Hi, everyone. Oh, that's bright. So, just waiting for my slides to come up. My name is Duncan Turner. I work for a company called SOSV. It's an early-stage venture fund, predominantly focused on technology companies that have an interesting technology which we help them to bring to market through one of our accelerators. Oh, here we are. We invest in 4 different verticals at at SOSV. These are life sciences, hardware, software, and also the food business. But my speciality, and what I'm going to talk to you a bit about today, is hardware. So I run HAX. It's the world's largest and first hardware accelerator. We're based in Shenzhen. Effectively, what we do is we just invest in very early-stage technology companies, companies that have a proven technology or prototype, and then help them to scale that and launch it into the world. And we invest across 5 different key areas. These are robotics, lifestyle projects, that's like connected IoT devices and consumer electronics, healthcare, that could be anything from consumer health products to medical devices, infrastructural and advanced fabrication companies. Those are companies that are helping other companies to get products either made in a smarter way or get them connected onto the internet. We've done 118 investments to date, and we're split across 2 different locations. So most people will know San Francisco, the Bay Area. That's been like the epicenter for all of technology investment, really, over the past 25 years. What many people don't actually know is there's another Bay Area, which we call the Huachang Bay Area. It's an area, a very small area inside Shenzhen, which is incredibly important for hardware investments. Because it's really kind of like an electronics capital of the world. It's like the Silicon Valley for hardware. And the reason this is important is because hardware is starting to become very important in our lives. And it's not actually hardware that's becoming important, it's software that's becoming integrated into our lives. If you think about how reliant you are on software in everyday activities, it helps you get around, helps you schedule meetings, helps you do a lot of things that 5, 10 years ago were actually quite difficult to do. And if we think about it, over the past kind of 25 years, actually, software's had this kind of huge acceleration. So it wasn't that long ago that people were using computers a little bit like this. In fact, some people in this audience probably still use a computer a bit like this. Whereas kind of fast forward to modern days, and we interact with software in a very different way. So iPads and touch screens and Samsung have enabled us to do very quick and fluid interaction with software, which is literally just integrated into our lives. But what's really interesting is up until fairly recently, and I'm talking like 7 years ago, actually, if you looked at the hardware or the devices which are kind of running this software, these were the first, this was the first laptop designed by IDEO, I think a long, long time ago, and the first Palm Pilot. Think about kind of how we interact with the majority of the software that we use even today. Actually, the devices haven't really changed that much. And that's a kind of an interesting thought. Until fairly recently, so around 2007, a bunch of companies started to create connected devices. And 2 of them were very successful here, and it was big news at the time. These devices were connected. They enabled you to get new value, which you couldn't really do beforehand. But I kind of associate these more like kind of a computer before the internet days. It allows you to do a few extra things that you could do that you couldn't do on a typewriter, but really there's not that much value there. And then a lot of these products have now been completely commoditized by Chinese manufacturers, such as Xiaomi, so that, whereas once a Fitbit might have been $99, you can get roughly the same thing for almost 1/10 of that price. And so naturally, the whole hardware world has started to evolve and change. Components are evolving, they're getting smaller, cheaper, and more accessible. A great illustration of this is my own laptop from when I was an engineering student. It cost me £2,000, which at the time was like almost $4,000, and had a very advanced processor on it. One of our startups actually, just a year ago, created this for $49, which has exactly the same specs that my computer did in 2003, but is on a device which they can sell at a profit for $49. That gives you kind of an illustration of how quickly things are changing in the hardware world. And it's not just everything that's getting smaller and cheaper. There are a bunch of tools available for companies and for startups to use to develop things very quickly. This is two of our companies actually being used in unison. This is a Leap Motion, which we invested in, and also MakeBlock, which is basically like a Lego for robotics, being used together so that you can actually create this kind of human control arm very quickly. The guys did that just in a day. Another change is Shenzhen. So this is Shenzhen, kind of. It's sort of heavily photoshopped, I think. But Shenzhen is this fantastic place which is enabling all of these startup companies to move at this colossal speed and to get products onto the market very quickly. And it's Shenzhen that I really want to talk about as something which is enabling creativity. It's kind of like a tech epicenter, really. Like, you've got so many different things there. You've got all of the engineering resources that you could possibly require to make a product very quickly. You have all the components you'd ever need that are available just in markets, like you can see in this video here. And you have an expertise around manufacturing there, which can help you to get a product from prototype to launch very quickly. And you can do that in a cost-effective manner. So for people that have these ideas and kind of about how things could possibly be in the future, Shenzhen is a fantastic place to be able to realize your dreams. It's a mecca for creativity. It really is. And that's why we chose it as a place for our accelerator, so that the teams can come there. We've got this kind of saying there that a week in Shenzhen is like a month anywhere else. Teams that we invest in come there for 3.5 months, so they get a year's worth of research and development done. It's making the future easier. And that actually has a profound effect on the types of teams now that we look at to come to HAX to create new products. So if I take an example of like designing a set of headphones. Headphones are very complicated pieces of hardware to design. If you think about it, there's, you'd need like kind of audio quality, you need to pick the right audio drivers, there's lots of ergonomic constraints, there's incredibly complex manufacturing, and then you've got a market which is incredibly sophisticated. Lots of kind of people that are very into high-end audio products have very high demands on the actual quality of the sound. This is kind of a space which, although it has huge value, is almost impossible for a hardware startup to actually kind of get into. Or is it? If you looked at the type of team that would be developing a product like this, typically it would be kind of an audio engineer with a mechanical engineer, maybe an industrial designer. And actually, I want to talk to you about one startup that we invested in, and their team was very different. They'd never made anything before. They had a human-computer interface PhD, an ear, nose, and throat surgeon, a guy who's a medical doctor, and somebody who specializes in biz dev and electrical engineering. And kind of when I was looking for the application of this company, I'm like, how could this company say they can create the best set of headphones ever? And their point to me was, well, actually, everybody hears things completely differently. So the way that I hear midtones is completely different to the way that anybody else hears midtones, or high-level hearing is different depending on the person. And so what they did was they created a very simple bit of hardware which has software enabled on it, which can actually play a sound into the ear, listen to the way that somebody's hearing a sound, and then create a unique music experience for that person. So it's basically creating an intelligent set of headphones. But the sound goes into the ear, it gets picked up by the cochlea, and then there's an electrical impulse that comes back out through the ear, which the headphones can listen to. So they can create a completely unique sound based on your hearing profile. That's fantastic. That's like kind of a completely intelligent product which enables new experiences for people. These guys went on Kickstarter, raised like $1.8 million, fantastic results. And it's kind of part of a trend that we see of specialization of products because everybody wants something which suits them. Everybody knows everyone's different. And it's not just kind of through the software. Actually, the hardware needs to be different. If we look at another company that we had, a headphone company, this is Revels. Have you ever noticed that when you're running, your earphones always come out? And that's because our ears are actually completely different, depending on different personality, different person. So the size of my ear is different to the size of everybody else's ear, which means one size does not fit all. Now, this company realized that and created a solution whereby they have a super simple soft gel which you push into your ear in the earbud. It forms to the inside of your ear, and then you press a button on your app and it will harden immediately inside your ear. So everybody can get a custom-fit earphone within 30 seconds. That's a great example, again, of this sort of notion of bespoke products being enabled for everybody. Again, went on Kickstarter and had a huge success. And it's not just startups that are doing this bespoke kind of, these bespoke products. Big companies like Nike with Nike IDEA are also doing it. Everybody wants bespoke products because everybody is different. The problem is nobody wants to wait for them. If you talk to the majority of manufacturers about manufacturing innovation with bespoke products, they'll talk to you about logistics innovation, supply chain innovation, about how you can ship something from China very quickly to the rest of the world to enable a custom product. But actually, we think about things in a little bit of a different way. We think that people are going to want things immediately, and that actually manufacturing can start to change the way we think about product development. That's why we've got this whole sector of investments within HAX called HAX Fab. These are advanced fabrication machines that we're investing in. It's very futuristic, but we've got this vision that very soon we're going to stop manufacturing everything in mass in Shenzhen, and we're going to start manufacturing things locally, because we'll be able to make short runs of things that suit individuals, maybe just one-offs. We've invested in dozens of these machines now, basically companies that are enabling designers to think about how they can be creative in a completely unique way and not relying on mass manufacturing to do so. To give you an example, this is called Volterra. This is a PCB printer. So normally PCBs have to be made in huge quantities or they take a long time to create. The quickest we can get them done in Shenzhen is like 48 hours. Most parts of the world, it takes at least 7 days. This device here will print one in just 20 minutes. Now, if you think about that and think about production in the future, where this company is going, they could enable small runs of PCBs to be manufactured very quickly. Another one of our companies was like, hey, there's these 3D printers around the place, and if I want a bespoke object, I can just create a CAD file, and I can get it printed. Why can't I do that with clothes? And so what they went about doing is creating a knitting machine, which will basically allow you to go online, create a design, and then download it to the machine, and it will knit you whatever you want. This is a scarf at the moment. They've also made jumpers. They've made jackets. They'll be launching on Kickstarter soon. And finally, one of our other companies was like, hey, it's fantastic. 3D printers are great. They allow you to get a digital file and then very quickly create a 3D object of that file. But it's really just refined to 3D printing. And CNC machining or laser cutting is actually dangerous and hazardous. For the majority of products that are made out of either kind of a hard material like glass or steel, you have to rely on hand tools which are dangerous and time-consuming. So polishing, grinding, or sawing. Well, all the different processes you normally need to go through if you're manufacturing something which is made out of metal. Either that or you have to send it outside to get it fabricated. And so what they did is created the world's first desktop water jet cutter. So what this device will do is basically you can have it on your desktop, and it will use water mixed with sand to cut through literally any material. So they'll cut through glass, they'll cut through ceramic, they'll cut through titanium, stainless steel. This company, again, is an example of how the changes in manufacturing are helping hardware startups to kind of see a new future. And what's interesting for us is that all of these technologies actually, when you look at them, right now they're quite early stage, but when you look at them from a creativity perspective and you think about kind of the intersection of art and design, these technologies could completely disrupt the way we manufacture things to allow people who have a really great idea to get to the market very quickly and also not to rely on having to make tens of thousands of one object, but just to make small production runs of that object in order to get them into people's hands. So, in conclusion, we really see this interesting future where everybody wants something completely unique, something completely bespoke, and we at HAX are helping them to do that by creating and funding the tools to develop that. Thank you for listening.